live per many of your requests. Ed Orgeron, no longer the coach at LSU. Fired today. He will finish out the season. Amazing. Who could have possibly seen that one coming? All right, do us a solid, y'all. If you're on Facebook, do us a solid. You know the drill. Like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post. If you are on YouTube, you know the drill. Smash the like button. We appreciate that very much. Helps us grow with the algorithm and all that sort of stuff. So let's get this thing rolling. I'll give you a little bit of reaction if you want it, and reaction to the news, reaction to the timing, reaction to the press conference, all that sort of stuff, and I'll take your questions. I do want to say, all right, let's first go through timing, all that sort of stuff. We'll get into. I see all the questions. Who's next? We'll get into all of it. I got it. I got it. So after the, I'll tell you everything I know at this point, without guessing. Many of you heard me over the weekend several times, Friday and Saturday, say, "Boy, Scott Woodward and who's at Washington? Boy, they fired Tyron Willingham 7 games into the season, but he finished the season, and y'all heard all that." I tell y'all often, y'all think I'm guessing. I'm not guessing. I'm just not breaking news guy. I never want to be breaking news guy. That's not what I do. It's not who I am. But if you listen closely enough, I'm telling you the story. Okay. Over the summer, Scott Woodward began preparing for this inevitability that Ed Orgeron was going to fall on his face and he was going to have to fire him. Because Scott's tactful. I've told you that a million times. After UCLA, in earnest, they began contacting boosters to collect the buyout money. I have spoken personally to people who were contacted. The more things deteriorated, the more obvious this was going to be. After the Auburn loss, midweek that week, it felt like they were going to do it after Kentucky if they lost. And you heard Ed Orgeron say it, that in his press conference, that after the loss to Kentucky, he knew it. Now, they told Ed and the staff formally this week that he wouldn't be back. I know he had hoped with the Florida win that might change things in the postgame locker room. It was still made apparently clear to him that it was not changing anything. The lack of an obvious interim is a giant reason why Ed stays on for the rest of the season. And it also allows total transparency in a coaching search because LSU's looking for a coach. Scott Woodward doesn't have to tread carefully. And also with recruits, you heard Ed Orgeron address that with recruits. It allows you to be transparent with recruits. So there's a lot of reasons to do it now. I have no problem with them doing it now. Saturday was a lot of fun, but like we said Saturday, it didn't change anything. And hopefully they win a bunch more games the rest of this year. Not likely, but could they? Sure. We've also talked about who's next. I've given you the list from the beginning. After UCLA, I was told Lane Kiffin, Bill O'Brien. Since then, they added Luke Fickell, James Franklin. Since then, Mel Tucker has jumped aboard, and mostly because, and this is going to be the most interesting part of this coaching search, and I've told you this before, and I'll continue to say it, the new president at LSU, President Tate, is inserting himself into this. Why? I'll put it to you this way. Why was the LSU president at that press conference today? Why was the LSU president meeting with the head coach and the athletic director today? There's no reason to. That's why your athletic director is in that job. You don't need to be there. He is inserting himself into this, and that is probably going to drive Scott Woodward nuts. I'm guessing that is an opinion on my part. That is speculative on my part. I'm telling you that. But, hooey. Yes, I've said this on multiple platforms. Say it again. President Tate, who is the first African-American president of LSU, wants to make a legacy hire and wants to hire a minority football coach at LSU. I don't think there's a single person watching right now who thinks that should be the only criteria. But if you can find the right coach among a pool of minority candidates, that is William Tate's preference. I don't think Scott Woodward has that intention or had that intention from the beginning. So you have this possibility of a power struggle with Tate and with Woodward. Who gets their way? I don't know. We're going to all find out together. The two names you're in primarily, James Franklin, Mel Tucker. And I will tell you that William Tate, his 1, 2, and 3, James Franklin. I will tell you that LSU has already made indirect contact with James Franklin's representatives, and apparently it didn't go so great. That's not to say he's off the list, but it didn't go great. Worth mentioning with Mel Tucker that he had been at LSU prior under Nick Saban for a year back in 2000. He's been under Saban at Bama, been under Kirby at Georgia, he's head coach at Colorado. Now he's in Michigan State. He's got them undefeated. But he's only been head coach. This is his third season as a head coach. So if you were going for the upper deck home run, that ain't it. I'd say can't do it. But Bradley Watson, Matt Gabe had a few game coin. It'll be $17 million eventually. I didn't give him nothing, bro. But I do have my game coin shirt. Shout out to my guy, Anthony Ray, hooked me up with the shirt. I love it. And you'll see it in GME we trust. Game coin. And Hookco. All right. I'm going to get to all of your comments. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Smash that like button. If you're on Facebook, do us a solid. Like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post. Gerald Hollifield, to make sure it goes like he wants. I don't blame him. Hong Tian Win, I have a feeling Coach will beat Bama. I disagree. Aaron Hornsby, Franklin ain't leaving. I would disagree. James Franklin makes 5.5 at Penn State. 5.5 at Penn State, and LSU's paying Ed Orgeron north of 8. So, money, SEC, only Power 5 school in Louisiana. Won 3 national titles since 2003, played for 4. Only school I could say that is Bama. There are a lot of reasons why James Franklin would leave Penn State for LSU. All right, give some of your comments. One other thing, I know people are saying that Orgeron was all class in the press conference. I think I need you to understand something. It is easy when you know the world is watching to behave yourself in front of a microphone. The true measure of a man and his character is what you do when nobody's watching. And that's where Ed Orgeron failed. Okay, I'm going to be very candid with you. The reason we're here today, in part, obviously, is because they lost a lot of football games But a big reason why they lost a lot of football games since the national championship is because Ed Orgeron as a man failed. Okay? And I know there's a lot of people listening to me right now who are going to say, man, you've always hated him, this and that. That's bullshit. When Ed Orgeron was hired, I said, and I will pull the tape if you want to hear it, back from November of 2016, where I said, I always cheer for people to succeed. It's great that he's realized this goal in his life. When he talked about his father and got emotional, it was an amazing moment. Any person that cheers for other people to have success would love that. I didn't like the hire on merit, okay? But what has transpired since has embarrassed LSU. It has gotten LSU in federal Title IX trouble. Ed is a defendant in 2 federal Title IX lawsuits. All of the embarrassing off the field problems have accumulated to this point. We can sit in a press conference and we can wax poetic and we can be emotional and all that crap, but the bottom line is that dude made this bed, now he's sleeping in it, all right? Like, go read Brody Miller's piece at the Athletic. You're going to start to see more and more and more and more stories like that come out because we've all heard them over the years. Now that Ed's fired, people will start to get loose-lipped and they'll start to tell those stories. So you can be moved by that press conference if you want to. You can pull for him the rest of the way. I don't care. I'll pull for LSU. I want the players to have success. This is the absolute right thing for LSU to do. All right, trivia, what's up? You called it. Of course I did, because I knew. I knew on Thursday that this is what they were doing. I knew this on Thursday. That's why I slow played it to you. I don't ever want to break news. It's not my thing. But I'll tell you the story if you actually listen. Scott Fields, PTG Toasty, Michael Mills, Bubba Tatum thought the negative press would precede the announcement. The one thing I don't understand is why you would do this press conference today. Make the announcement via a press release. Ed's going to talk to the media tomorrow before Ole Miss, but whatever. Val Browning, what's up? Top 5J. We knew it was coming. The only surprise, letting him finish the season. It's only a surprise to you that they're letting him finish the season if you haven't been listening to me for the last 3 days, because I've been telling you that on every platform for the last 3 days. This is exactly what Scott Woodward did with Tyrone Willingham back in 2008 at UW. And the lack of an obvious interim, which I have said for a month now, led them to this point. Alex Day, Matt, I can't believe they're going to pay him the whole buyout. That's another thing, Alex. Why do you think they're going to pay him the whole buyout? For his cooperation. To not go Ed Orgeron. You'll see it. Wait until you see the termination agreement. It's basically, we'll give you this money if you play nice. And that's what they had to do with this man because he goes off the rails. Matt Plavidal, Cliff Nelson, Bayou Bengal 84, Roger Dodger TMK. Ross Meir, is James Franklin at the top of the list? He is for William Tate. Let's see, the Midwest Tri, top coaches around the NCAA are getting raises to keep them in place. I'll tell you what, it's a very astute point. Because the one counterpoint to what just happened is you have given now every other prominent coach and their agent leverage to go to their current school to say, hey, LSU's open and USC's open. You want to keep your guy in place. Let's do a deal now before they come calling. That is the one counterpoint there. Mason Chambers, why is Mel Tucker coming up so hard all of a sudden? I've told you that. The president at LSU, William Tate, has a desire to make this a legacy hire to bring the first minority head football coach to LSU. And that can't be your only criteria, because if that's your only criteria, then you're fishing in a very shallow pond. Because the list of, if you think about what Scott Woodward typically hires, as far as Kim Mulkey or Jimbo, or you know the list, coaches that have been wild championship level coaches. Find me the list of minority coaches in college football where that criteria is met. You know, if you go beyond just black head coaches, you could also talk about Kalani Sitake at BYU. You could talk about Dave Aranda, although short resume as a head coach, just into his second year. You could talk about David Shaw at Stanford. I think that's difficult, though, because Stanford is just a completely different animal altogether. It's not an easy conversation, but that's why. Let's see, Michael. Hat tip to you, Matt. There's other news outlets that are just getting to where you've been for weeks. Gulf South, here he is. I knew you couldn't wait till tomorrow to talk about this. Well, Gulf South, I mean, if I showed you my text line, you'd see hundreds of text messages saying, are you going to do a live show? Damn right I will. You want me to do one, I'll do one. Matt, you were right. After 7 games, announced he was coaching the rest of the season, but was making a change. Ross Meir, where can we get your Game Coin shirt? I don't know, man. I got this from my buddy Anthony Ray. I saw he posted it on his Instagram. I was like, I want one, so he brought me one today. What's it say on the back? I think it might just be the website on the back. Anyway, Game Coin. Kyle DeVille, what's up from Gina? Hunter Fournette, y'all just read between the lines with Matt, and he'll give you the inside info with LSU. Alex Day, Bruce Feldman mentioned Jimbo and Dabo as targets. Bruce Feldman is dead wrong. I want to explain something to you, okay? Now because this is out in the open, I don't need to tap dance around and give you innuendo. I will tell you. Sports agents shill their clients. That's their job. The job of a sports agent is to get their client's name out there to generate buzz around them to try to get them deals. Jimmy Sexton is the best in the world at it. That's Jimbo Fisher's agent. Okay, I'm going to tell you this one time. Jimbo Fisher will not even be considered for the LSU head coaching job. Okay, and I'm someone who a month ago would have told you why that makes sense, why you make the call. Scott Woodward hired him. There's a relationship. He's been in Baton Rouge, all this stuff. What transpired in 2015 with LSU and with Jimbo, and primarily Jimmy Sexton's role in it, was so off-putting to so many prominent boosters at LSU that they've made it abundantly clear that Jimbo better not even get a call. Better not even be considered for this job. And he won't be. Jimbo Fisher will not be LSU's coach. I will be like, I don't like to speak in absolutes. That's not my thing. I would be absolutely fall over stunned if Jimbo Fisher was LSU's coach. I mean, to the point where I don't even think they're going to make a phone call to him. And Dabo is not real. Mark Allen, listening to you day in and day out, I wasn't surprised by the news. 473 watching. Appreciate y'all so much. Smash that like button, please, on YouTube. Facebook, 687 on Facebook. Appreciate y'all so much. Eric Creel, Cristobal. I've only heard Mario Cristobal's name from fans. Caleb Brignac, should be a guest on Whiskey and Wine next season. I don't think Ed Orgeron is a big fan of mine. So I doubt that. Mimi and Ward Mobile, Dustin Cruel, Chewy Gutierrez, give me James Franklin. I want to be clear about something. If James Franklin is the choice, I would personally drive to the airport to pick him up. I think James Franklin would be incredible here. Guy won at Vanderbilt. He's done a great job at Penn State. He can recruit. He is a engaging guy who would absolutely do amazing with fans and alumni and everything. Offensive-minded coach. I think James Franklin, like, regardless of William Tate's criteria, James Franklin might be at the top of my wish list of realistic candidates. So I would love that if that was the answer. A lot of people asking about Eric Bieniemy. I have not heard Bieniemy's name from anyone but fans. And I still believe he's going to end up being an NFL head coach. Jude Jarrow. Brady Boland. Matt, what are you sipping on tonight? I don't have anything. James Peck. What NFL coaches or coordinators could be a choice? I don't know that that's the direction they're going to go. Let me get this out of the way as well. For everyone who thinks that Joe Brady would be an answer, Joe Brady is not going to be LSU's head football coach. Joe Brady has never been a head coach, number one. Joe Brady also has, hey buddy, Joe Brady has never been head coach. Joe Brady also was doing interviews last year for NFL head coaching jobs. He is going to get an NFL head coaching job this offseason. It's not going to be Joe Brady. Justin Hutchinson, Matt, I'm sure there's non-disclosure between the school and Ed, right? Listen, I will tell you this, LSU sent the termination agreement to all of the media so we can read it. Ed's going to get like $16.9 million, and there are play nice clauses. So everyone who's asking, why is he getting all that money? Why didn't they negotiate the buyout down lower? I told you this. They're trying to get him to play nice on the way out, because I'm telling you definitively, if you're outside looking in going, man, they just won a championship a year and a half ago, and last year was COVID and so many injuries this year, and why are they bailing on them so quickly? Because there's more there than the happy, friendly press conference that you just watched, okay? And you're going to start to see more and more of that come up. And they needed to do this for the sake of LSU. Sean Gasser, Hugh Freeze, too much baggage. They're going to go squeaky clean. Hugh Freeze might be my number one choice if I could pick anybody. But that's a big problem, is that I don't think they're going to go with anyone who has past baggage. Alex Gonzalez, Tommy Vienendahl, Keith Hayes, Dave Aranda. Again, Aranda's doing a great job right now at Baylor. He's got them playing great football. Small sample size. Derek Thomas, Mel Tucker, Michigan State. Yes. Cole Pierce. That's the Mel Tucker we're talking about. Cole Pierce going from coach being named in the Title IX federal suit to a guy who was caught. Ken Smith, Julie, Michelle McKee, Brady Boland. Kirk Elgin, what's up? Gerald Holyfield, Chris Melanson, Ray Slocum, Scott Watson, Adam Tower. I'd love to see it be Franklin, but he'd be a fool to leave the relatively relaxed atmosphere of Happy Valley. In part, Adam, I'll also tell you this, that James Franklin is a guy who loves the Gulf Coast, man. Has a place at 30A. That's where he spent quarantine. I think getting down this way is something he would like. And the other thing I'll tell you is you ain't winning a national championship at Penn State. You're just not. So you can do it at LSU in this climate. You can't do it at Penn State. With all due respect, James Franklin is the next Jared Denardo to me. Why? Because they both coached at Vanderbilt? That's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. James Franklin is a modern, progressive offensive mind who can recruit his ass off. Jared Denardo, who was charismatic and fun, made some terrible assistant hires, stuck to them, and talked to players from the Denardo era. Talked to Eddie Kennison about Jared Denardo. Derek Thomas, what's up? Ken Smith, will Tate interfere with Scott Search? Absolutely. And that is one of the things that has me very worried. And I think egos always come into play with things like this. And as the more and more fans say things like, in Scott we trust, I think that That makes an egotistical president. You know, grates his nerves. Please stop with the Joe Brady comments. I wish we could. Who is that? Weshian. I wish people would, but that's all I'm going to hear for the next 7 weeks. Is Billy Napier possible or no? Because he's in the Sun Belt. I'll tell you this, Stephen. The problem with, well, not the problem. The thing is, if you're going to consider a Sun Belt coach, then Jamie Chadwell from Coastal Carolina is actually the better choice. And I'll tell you that that's the guy who's deep on the list where if you miss on your first 4, 5, 6 candidates and you get down the list, that's the guy they would go get is Chadwell. I would be down with Lane Kiffin as well. I don't think that's going to happen for the same reasons we talked about with other coaches needing a squeaky clean image. Reggie Walker said, what about Mike Gundy? LSU did, in fact, approach Mike Gundy back in 2016, and he was not interested in leaving his alma mater at Oklahoma State. Jason Guidry, James McClain, Pedro Valadares, Luke Fickell would be a great hire. So Luke Fickell was a guy who certainly drew early interest. My understanding is Luke Fickell has expressed through his representation that he is not interested. Luke Fickell is a Midwestern guy who would rather hold out for a Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame opportunity. And also, remember, I've been told, he looks at it like Cincinnati's about to go into the Big 12. So if Cincinnati's going into the Big 12, they'll be in the Power 5. He doesn't need to be in the SEC. Jump over here to YouTube. Appreciate your patience, y'all. I'm doing the best I can keeping up. If you're on YouTube, 769 watching there on YouTube, shout out, smash that like button if you would. Please smash that like button. If you're on mobile, hit the thumbs up. X out of the live chat, hit the thumbs up, come right back in the live chat. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Also, if you're on Facebook, I tagged both HUDCO and GameCoin in the Facebook page. So if you would, like the HUDCO and the GameCoin page. In GME we trust. I love the shirt. Check it out, y'all. GameCoin. TheGameCoin.net. Brian Jones, wish this would have happened last week after the loss. Some people are defending O, which is going to be a distraction. Brian, I don't think it's going to be a distraction at all. The players are ready to move on, man. I'll tell you a big reason why the players played inspired is they already knew this news. Everybody already knew this news. And the reason it didn't happen after Kentucky is because they had to sort through the issues with the termination agreement because you had an athletic director and a president who were at odds over how to handle that. Again, I'll tell you, I'm going to be candid tonight. I'll be straight up with you. I mean, I don't need to tap dance around anything right now because the news is out there and, you know, I'll tell y'all what I can tell y'all. But you had an AD and a president who had conflicting opinions on how to go about handling the termination agreement, the buyout money, etc. And that's why it didn't happen last week. George Reitmeyer, good evening, Matt. WWL Radio is trying to play conspiracy theory. Main reason why I stopped listening to them and listening to your shows. I'm not going to speak about another radio group. I don't know what they're talking about. There are no conspiracies. The bottom line is Ed Orgeron's behavior in his personal life has been unacceptable. And I'm not here to judge what that man does as a single man in his personal life. Do not misunderstand me. I want to be very clear about this. I'm not judging what he does. However, when you are the face of a $100 million organization, there is a certain expectation of behavior and how you carry yourself that is going to be reflected. I'm a radio guy, and I have a clause in my contract that is a behavioral clause whereby I can be terminated if I do something to embarrass my company. So, like, it's a personal conduct policy, however you want to phrase it. Morality clause, whatever. Like, I have one of those in my contract. I'm just a local radio guy. He's the highest paid state employee at the flagship university. you have a greater standard that you're going to be held to, and he has not done that. And that is a big part of also why this day approached as rapidly as it did. John K., why is Ed staying? Doesn't make any sense. So actually, John, it does make sense, and I'll give you a few reasons. Number one, they do not have an obvious interim. They discussed the possibility of Mickey Joseph being that guy, but decided because they did not have an obvious interim coach, Ed would stay. Two other things. Number one, announcing now allows Scott Woodward the cover to be able to spend the next 6 weeks conducting a search without having to worry about any type of tampering. Like, LSU is now formally in the market for a football coach. Ed's termination agreement goes into effect tomorrow. It is dated October the 18th. So effective tomorrow. So they can begin the whole process of formally, vetting and interviewing, talk to coaching candidates. That's one. Two, recruiting. Now there's no ambiguity. Recruits know Ed Orgeron won't be back. He can continue to recruit for LSU. His staff can continue to talk about what a great place LSU is and hang on. They'll hire a new coach. And then, recruits may want to hold on and wait for the new coach to see who it is before that December signing period. So it does make sense. By the way, if you are on Facebook and you want to join us on YouTube, you're welcome. 980 watching on YouTube, 735 on Facebook. That's phenomenal. Thank you so much for watching. Again, smash the like button, please. Eric Wildrotter, any idea if this extends the bowl game? Yes, Ed Orgeron did address that. He would coach the bowl game if they make it. And I think they will. I think they'll beat ULM, which will give them a 5. And I think they'll win one more, probably Arkansas at home. I think they'll get to 6. 71 Kimball, Matt, you the man. Knew about you for a while, just started following you. You did a very good job. T-Bot probably needs another IV. Thanks for watching, man. Tremaine318, what's up? Michael Terry, need that shirt. Game coin. Shout out Game coin. I love how they did this. It's like half a penny, half a game coin. It's like it's morphing. It says, in GME we trust. I love it. R. Walker, Mel Tucker would be a disaster. That team will be exposed soon. I don't know that I agree with that, Mel. I'll tell you this, R. Walker. I spoke to a very high-level coach today and said Mel Tucker would be phenomenal. Great coach. Was at Bama under Saban. Was at Georgia under Kirby. Nick hired Mel Tucker 3 times. Nick hired him 3 times. And can recruit his butt off. So, kind of sold me a little bit on the idea of Mel Tucker. I would certainly think LSU could aim higher, though. Vincent LSR, Lincoln Riley or bust. I don't think that's going to happen. If Lincoln Riley leaves Oklahoma, it's very likely going to be for the NFL. Matt, I always thought Aranda would get the job after less. That was always a fan thing. That was never a realistic scenario. I don't know why fans married themselves to that idea about I even heard fans talk about like being the silent coach in waiting thing. That was never a thing, ever. So no. Let's see, rapid batches. We all know how this is going. LSU's pro BLM, left wing, white apologist school. Now they're using a head coach football job at LSU, make a political statement. Yeah, I don't think that's the point. And honestly, I think one of the reasons, which was also asked vaguely to Ed Orgeron tonight, was how they handled the BLM movement last year. Another failure by Ed Orgeron, when his players are marching without him intentionally to the president's office. And honestly, that march was in part because of his behavior. So anyone who would sit here today and defend Ed Orgeron is misinformed. And the longer we move from this era, the more people are willing to speak openly about it, the more obvious it will become why LSU arrived at this decision today. Let's see, Matt, is it true Scott Woodward hired Bo last year as DC and it had nothing to do with it? Fundamentally false. Whoever is spitting that is stupid. That is factually inaccurate and dumb. Ed Orgeron asked Pete Carroll, because Bo Pelini, for some reason, is a connection with Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll recommended Bo Pelini. That's how that happened. Like, anyone who tells you that this is why I tell you all this, man. Listen, I'm going to say this as nicely as I can, okay? Say this as nicely as I can. In this business, media, sport, you don't have the luxury of being wrong. If you are someone who is if you're a reporter and a newsmaker, you don't have the luxury of being wrong. You got to be right. Which is why you trust Ross Dellinger. Which is why you trust the names in the sport that break news. It's why in the NFL you trust Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport. In the NFL, why you trust Woj. Because if they say it, damn it, it's true 100% of the time, you know it. They have the sources, they vet it, they're responsible with their information, that's it. There are other people who are not them who do not understand what it means to do your due diligence, to cultivate relationships and multiple sources and vet information instead of just throwing things out there because you heard it from one person you deemed to be reputable. That's how last year so many of you came to me over and over again. Hey man, I heard Elias Ricks is transferring to Ohio State. It was bullshit. Elias Ricks tore his labrum. He had surgery last offseason. That's why he missed spring and fall. He was rehabbing a torn labrum. His family never went public with it, but you got a message board or a blogger or somebody saying, oh, Elias Ricks is going to Ohio State. Bullshit. It was never, ever, ever true. And I try to tell you that, but that's why I tell you, if you don't hear it from someone who is reputable, then ignore it. Because you don't what was the deal that y'all kept, hey man, so what was it? One of the whoever they were. Marcus Freeman, LSU, done deal, defensive coordinator. No. You don't get to be wrong. If you are actually a reputable person and you are wrong with something like that, that crushes your reputation. You are done. You have no credibility. You have to understand the difference. Look at the people you trust for information and go to them for information. And if I'm one of them, fine. If not, that's fine too. I don't care. But go to the people that have proven that they are reputable and that break news and have taken the time to do their due diligence and responsibly cultivate sources and information and only break stuff when it is absolutely confirmed and ready. Like Ross Dellinger did today, hours before LSU issued the press release. Bro, the internet, man. It's the worst part about our business. It's equal parts the best and worst parts. I got 1,173 people watching me right now on YouTube. I got 719 on Facebook. I got 2,000 people watching right now, which is phenomenal. I'm blown away. Thank you so much. This is like whiskey and wine numbers. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Which is why the internet's awesome. The flip side of it is it's given everybody a megaphone. So ignore people that don't matter and go to reputable sources for information. Ronnie Jenkins, give the coach. Well, sorry. Dean Stewart, if this program is in trouble over the next 5 to 10 years with Tate and Woodward not being on the same page, to me, this is bigger than the coach hire. Very worried. Any clarity would be appreciated. Dean, I wish I had a great answer for you, but I can tell you candidly, I don't know, because we're walking down this road with this president for the first time. And the other thing I'll tell you, you say, well, who hired the president? Well, the governor hired the president. And you have a Democratic governor who is aligned with William Tate. So I don't know that that bodes super well, but also loves football. Loves LSU, loves sports, loves football. And I don't know that that bodes super well. Hi, buddy. You want to say hi?
No.
Okay. No. All right. It's 9 o'clock. Ooh. Will Myers, what's up? Is Ed Orgeron out of college football for good? So Ed did say tonight's press conference he does not plan to coach next year. I was told he plans to take a year off, possibly do TV, and then likely coach again after that as an assistant. Ray Wright, what's up? Blake Oob, what's up, Blake Oob? Good to see you. Jason Austin. Matt is brutally honest. Well, I am, bro. That's the only way I know how to be. Blaine Smith. Chris Fullerton. Max Johnson is the long-term answer. I think Max is playing well this year. Let's see. Um, 719 watching you on Facebook. You count on Newsmaker Podcast. I don't know what Newsmaker Podcast is. Sorry, man. Vaccine mandate in Tiger Stadium killed attendance. No, the shitty football killed attendance. Christian Ortega, I would like Lane Kiffin to get the job. I'd like to see the chess match between Lane and Saban. I think Lane could do great, and I'll tell you, he was one of the early names on the list. I think his off-the-field stuff might be a problem. Will be a problem. Kelly Root, remember why we hired no top coaches wanted to come here. Kelly Root, that is absolutely false. False, false, false. That is false. Ed Orgeron ended up the LSU coach because Joe Oliva was the worst athletic director in the history of intercollegiate athletics. Joe Oliva fired Les Miles because he was just aching to fire that coach, had no plan, started vetting candidates, zeroed in on Tom Herman. When Tom Herman decided he wanted to talk to Texas one day before Joe Oliva was getting his ass on a plane to go to Houston to sign the paperwork because they had a deal done, Joe Oliva, instead of getting his ass on the plane to go fly to Houston and meet that guy, rushed Ed Orgeron to the podium and passed him off as his number one choice, which was never, ever the case. Even if you wanted to hire Ed Orgeron after Herman left for Texas, do a search and actually come up with qualified candidates. It was the enormous list of candidates that wanted that job was bonkers. But you had the worst athletic director I or any of us have ever seen. The man who improbably got 2 Power 5 jobs at Duke and LSU, despite being the guy who in the Duke lacrosse scandal said, it's not, quote, it's not about the truth. And with respect to LSU, has LSU now in the midst of a federal Title IX lawsuit. Like, Joe Oliva was the problem. It's not because, I will tell you, I know for a fact, the inbound interest LSU's gotten for this job is crazy. Lane Kiffin is actively, through his intermediaries, lobbying for this job. His people are going to every media person trying to push his name to the forefront. Like, they've contacted me. Like, I'm telling you, Lane Kiffin wants the LSU job. I don't think he's going to get it. Go back to YouTube. Kellen Moore, not happening. Ryan Swallow, I've been wanting James Franklin since he left Vandy for Penn State. James Franklin would be great. I would love it too if it happened. I've heard another guy named Fisher that's not Jimbo pop up. I pray he's dead. Wrong. Jimbo Fisher, I will say this again, okay? And take this back to what information do you believe, who do you believe, all that sort of stuff. In 2015, when Jimmy Sexton, the way he handled the Fisher negotiation left LSU boosters so dismayed that it has been made abundantly clear that a phone call should not even be made to Jimbo Fisher this go around. I love Jimbo. Y'all know that. I think he's a fantastic coach, quarterback whisperer, just beat Alabama, all that sort of stuff. Some of you don't like him, don't really care. Regardless of what you think or what I think, it's pretty clear to me Jimbo Fisher is not going to be the guy. The fuck is Lou Tepper? Lou Tepper was the defensive coordinator at LSU that Jerry DiNardo hired, who infamously instituted the drop linebacker and basically cost Jerry DiNardo his career. Hired him in '98. The defense was miserable. Instead of replacing Tepper, DiNardo dug in. Defense was worse in '99, and then he got fired. Nate Cole, sorry if I missed Matt. What's your initial reaction to the news today? Nate Coles, the news today is something that I have been telling you now for 3 days without telling you. So I'm not in any way surprised. The conversations about replacing Ed began in the summer. They began in earnest with ramping up buyout money after the UCLA loss. After the Auburn loss, I am convinced he would have been fired post-Kentucky, but for the struggle between Woodward and Tate about how to manage it, how to handle it. And that's why it bled on another week. It should have been done the Monday after Kentucky. A lot of people are asking about Fickle. And I may just be behind on comments, so forgive me. I know some of this I've said before. If I'm repeating myself, Luke Fickle, Midwestern guy. He certainly was at the top of near the top of LSU's list. And I know one very prominent LSU booster who was his guy. My understanding is that Luke Fickle has said he is content to stay in the Midwest at Cincinnati, a Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame type opportunity potentially, and then Cincinnati going into the Big 12 makes them a Power 5. So I think Fickle is one you scratch off the list. Cameron Cook, let's see, Kobe said Matt Rule. Why would Matt Rule leave the NFL? He's doing just fine there. I think he'd be great at LSU, but I don't think he's leaving the NFL. Keegan Hayes, Matt, were you honestly surprised it happened today on Morning Scone? Your tone sounded like Florida may delay the inevitable. Keegan Hayes, if you listen to Morning Scone on Friday, if you listen to Eagle 98.1 Game Day Saturday, if you listen to Whiskey and Wine, if you listen to Morning Scone, like I've said this so many times now that this was the path they were going to take. Will Wright, what's up? Alex Day Frogs, I love it. David Mayhew, Matt, I might have joined late. Can you elaborate on the initial outreach to Franklin? Why the initial outreach to Franklin didn't go great? Might have been a personality thing, a little bit, as I understand it. Not to say that he's disinterested or anything like that. I think there's some personality things there that may have some concern, but I think with any coach, there are going to be roadblocks. There are going to be objections to literally any hire other than Nick Saban. And even Nick Saban, you go, well, he's 70 years old. How much longer is he going to coach? Like, any coach is going to have their objection, their stumbling blocks, their hurdle you have to clear. So it's who has the fewest of those, who has the clearest path to win and win over a long period. David Went, Wesley Randall bought some Gamecoin this week. There you go, Wesley Randall. Gamecoin. Hudco. Dennis Dodd threw out Matt Rule if he wants out of the NFL. Like, Dennis Dodd can throw out whatever name he wants. That's great. Dennis Dodd can throw out an NFL head coach. Please tell me the last time you've seen a sitting NFL head coach leave the NFL for a college job. And please don't tell me Bobby Petrino, because if Bobby Petrino is your answer, then we have not much to talk about here. King Savage, Alec Campbell, who is out of the box candidate no one's talking about. I really don't think there are any, Alec, because you have to consider who the people are that are, like, Scott Woodward is a guy that doesn't just swing for the fences. he takes an uppercut to try to hit an upper deck shot. Okay, he's the guy that's going after the Kim Mulkey, the Jimbo Fisher, you know what I mean, like the championship caliber coach. If William Tate is inserting him into this and pushing a minority candidate, then that shrinks the candidate pool that we're talking about. So, I don't think there is an outside the box candidate. If you end up in a situation like baseball did, where you had your guys and for different issues, you didn't land on them, you get down the list, ultimately they get to Jay Johnson. I would tell you someone like Jamie Chadwell would be that guy. Someone who's at a lower tier school but been a very successful head coach. That's sort of the up and comer, maybe the next Nick Saban type deal. That's where they might go. Pat Latuso, JL Nix, Gray Schuler, Josh Jambone. Let's see. You never liked where he was from since the beginning. Josh, that is fundamentally stupid, and I actually resent that. And I addressed this earlier, and I'll say it again, because people like you are small-minded and you don't actually listen. You love to marry yourself to certain narratives. I will go back and pull up the fucking show I did from the day Ed Orgeron was hired, where I said, I cheer for people in life. I want people to reach their goals. I think it is wonderful that this man achieved this goal, this lifelong dream that he had to coach at LSU. How could any human being not be moved by when in his introductory press conference he teared up talking about his father? All of that stuff is fantastic. But me, objectively, as someone who is looking at LSU and covering this program, says, how in the world can a place like LSU hire a man who was 3-21 in the SEC as a head coach? How can that be your best? That was my point then. That's not irrational, but assholes like you who are sunshine pumping D-bags, who only want to see the super positive and don't want to hear anything that might even be construed possibly as a negative thought about your program. All you heard was Matt hates Ed Orgeron, and you've married yourself to that idea for the last 5 years, and now I'm throwing it back in your face. It was never about Ed Orgeron as a person. It was about a failed head coach that so many of you couldn't see. And you can bring up 2019 if you want, but ultimately, I've got a sample of 3 years at Ole Miss and 6 years at LSU that show as a decade, the 1 out of 10 was a great season, but the other 9 were disasters. And that's what Ed Orgeron is as a head coach. That's why he won't be a head coach again. Oh yeah, the Drew comments. All right, let's see. Art Vandelay, T-Stamps, what's up? My God, you have a ton of liquor. I do. Well, that's not even all of it, but that's just a few shelves. There's multiple shelves up there. I can't show. I'd have to move them. Well, I guess I can show you. I'll show you YouTube real quick. That's just some of my whiskey up there. So I'm a whiskey collector, man. It's the thing I do. 1,355 watching on YouTube. Please smash that like button if you haven't done so yet. Smash the like. Only 454 likes. Can we get that to 1,000 likes? I think we can. We're almost 1,400 viewers. Like, if everybody would just take a quick second, smash the like button. I'll even drink some whiskey. How about that? You smash the like button while I pour a whiskey. Good deal. Smash the like button while I pour a whiskey. Facebook, we good? 685 on Facebook. I love it. Smash the like button if you would. Like and share, like and share, like and share, like and share. I'll give me a little something. What are we going to do tonight? How about, you know what I'm going to do? Open this up. Picked this up the other day. I'm curious about it. This is Jefferson's. This is the Jefferson's straight rye finished in cognac casks. Interested in this one. Let's give it a go, y'all. What do y'all think? Let's give it a go. Oh, gotta get the paper off. Whoops. Oh, all right. Probably due for another count at some point. It's been a while since I counted all my bottles. Probably close to 200 now. Okay. Let's see. All right. Where are we? Play Goob is diversity an issue. An old wooden ship. Keith Alaman, what's up? Wes Wally. Matt, do you think O may be willing to come back as an assistant? Absolutely not. No chance. I'm telling you, despite whatever nice things you perceive were said at this press conference, this is not ending well. This is not an amicable departure. The only reason Ed Orgeron sat at that table today and played nice and said the right things is because they agreed to give him $17 million. That's it. It's the reason. Because I'm going to tell you, last week, midweek, was a shit show. Okay? By the way, y'all morning sconers, I don't curse on morning scone. And I don't curse on AFR, and I don't curse on Locked On LSU, and a lot of places I don't. But when we get after dark, and we're on streams, and I pour a little something, I might get a little emotional, I might curse. Okay? So, anybody wondering why Ed Orgeron and Scott Woodward sat side by side and pretended to be best friends and played nice? That's because LSU agreed to give him $17 million, and that was the amicable split. Ryan Terrio, grow out your beard, you look like a schoolboy. Shut up, Terrio. Terrio's at my house today. Huh, Terrio? Ed is Ed, had to pay the money. I think, what are you getting about last week? Ed knew it was over and didn't handle that well, like you would expect. He's Ole Miss Ed, man. Everybody heard the story already about what happened before the Kentucky game with the pregame video. There were members of staff that had to be physically separated from fighting. I mean, Ed reverted to the guy he was, berating people, berating assistants. Go read any story about what went wrong at Ole Miss and just take Ole Miss out and put LSU in, and that's what he became. That's what he became again. I'll say this about Ed. When things are going good, he's a great energy guy. Like in prosperous times, energy, positivity, one team, one heartbeat, and all that shit. In stressful situations, he regresses. And that's a problem, because when you're a head football coach, you face a lot of stressful situations. Bring back the Zucker. Mark Ewing, I love that the Hudco song is Erica's intro on Fridays. Landry Joseph, what about Leslie Frazier or Eric Bieniemy? Haven't heard either of them mentioned, but from fans mentioning Bieniemy. Hal Jubin, Jason Sliger, Pizza Lover said Jeff Fisher. Manny Diaz would be available soon. Yeah, I don't think they're going that route. David Went, who has the ultimate say? AD, president of the Boosters. It's a great question. Well, it's not the Boosters, I'll tell you that much. In a normal situation, you hire someone to do their job. Like, if you are the president, you let the athletic director do the job. And if they fail, you fire them and replace them with someone who can do the job. If you're a university president and you wanted to hire football coaches, then you shouldn't have gone into university administration. You should have gone into athletic administration so you could hire coaches. My feeling on it is that President Tate or any university president should get their ass as far away from that search and stick to what they know. Stick to getting, land grants for like bison research or some shit. Let the athletic director, who's really good at his job, hire the football coach. Oops. It's going fast, bro. Let's see, where are we? Oh, we're almost to 700 likes. That's awesome. Thank y'all so much. We're getting that up there. I know we can get there. All right, let's see. What else do we have? Mike Archer. All right, we've gone to that part of that. How's the ride? JL, how's the ride? Pretty good, JL. I want to let it open up a little bit. Usually with a cognac finish, you're going to get a potent but sweet finish. Rye is spicy to begin with, so sweet and spicy. Be interesting. Let's see. Jonathan Lane, keep seeing Billy Napier. Steve Colson, how much does this shirt cost in game coin? Shout out, Steve. You know what, though, Steve? If people used crypto as an actual currency, I can answer that for you. But since they're not cryptocurrencies, they're actually crypto assets, a little harder to answer that question, Colson. Eric Lane, who didn't want to pay the buyout, Tate or Woodward? Tate. Napier has no shot at this job. Nick Frugier, I tend to agree, Nick. If they get that far down the list, they would probably go Jamie Chadwell and not Napier. How many points is Lane hanging this weekend? I don't know, man. LSU's defense has played better, but I will say, look, beating Florida is awesome. I'm never, ever going to complain about that. It's what someone asked on, we're doing Morning Scone yesterday on Saturday, and it was like, man, I'm so conflicted. I've never cheered against my team, but I don't want them to win and keep Ed Orgeron. I said, listen, Ed Orgeron is not going to be the head coach at LSU in 2022. I did it just like that. That's what I remember. It's like, so cheer for your team to win. Always cheer for your team to win, man. I mean, amazing night watching them beat. Amazing that we got to watch them beat Florida. The reality is, you gave up nearly 500 yards and 42 points, and Florida had to throw You gave up 42 points and nearly 500 yards while still getting 4 interceptions. Imagine if Florida had those 4 possessions back. They put up 70, but they didn't. So you won, and that's awesome. But I always say winning mass deficiencies. Let's just enjoy the win and understand this is still a flawed team that's got a long way to go. If Pete Carroll leaves, do you think he would come to LSU? Pete Carroll is like 100 years old. I'm not an ageist, but I don't think you're hiring a coach that is 70. I think you're looking for a longer-term hire. Can you get Catholic High to take it easy on STA this week? They're playing Santa Monica? Yeah, it's probably going to be bad if they're playing. Clay Neighbors. What's up, Clay Neighbors? Auburn fan here. The Gump Nation definitely has no class. Good content, Matt. Thank you, Clay Neighbors. Appreciate that. Kevin Brown. What video pregame? They were playing a hype video before the Kentucky game. There was an issue with it, and it created a meltdown from the guy who melts down over stupid things, because that's what he does. Listen, man, my only point is, the only point that I'm construing here is because there's a lot of people who are sentimental about Coach O today after the press conference and all that stuff, and that he handled it all class, whatever. And I'm telling you, the reason he handled it with all class is because he's getting $17 million, and part of that $17 million is play nice for the remainder of the season and don't say peep. And we'll give you your money, okay? And then you can leave. People are worried about Lane after what O and Les have done. But that's the problem. B. Weinman, that's the problem, right? Like, when you're already in trouble, when you're already under the microscope, you can't make a hire that says, hey, look, we're under federal Title IX investigation because of, failing to adequately report allegations of rape and sexual assault. And so now we're going to hire this guy who's got this baggage in this background. You know what I mean? You can't make yourself vulnerable with that respect to that. Cody Jones, James Bond, if there's a power issue between Tate and Woodward, how soon before it begins to leak? It is leaking. What are you talking about? I'm telling you. Like, this is what a leak is. That's what this is. What do you mean before it starts to leak? I'm telling you this. This is a leak. What are you talking about? How long before it leaks? I'm leaking it to you. I'm telling you what's happening. How long till it leaks? What? Is this real world? Is this the Matrix or is this real world? And I'm not telling you that there's animosity. I'm not telling you they're fighting. What I'm telling you is you have a university president who wants to be involved in this decision making, and I don't think that's sitting well with Scott Woodward. This is really good, by the way. Just give it a little minute to open up. All right, Matt, does Brad Davis come back? I hope so. But I think the new coach should have autonomy to hire whoever he wants. Car tire. What about Pete Golding? I don't think Pete Golding is going to be hired as the head coach. But if Mel Tucker is hired as the head coach, Pete Golding could come join him as a DC. That would not surprise me. Chris Lorio supporting Trump was the downfall. Not exactly. Brandon Reese winning that title made O cocky-minded. Part of it. Anything in the termination agreement about university defending him in Title IX cases? No, but in the termination agreement, there is a section whereby he is required to truthfully answer questions and cooperate in any investigation with SEC, NCAA, Title IX, all that sort of stuff. Let's see. Plum Tiger 1, diversity hire is bad. Look at our government. We need to hire on merit and be colorblind. Best guy wins, period. I also think it's not a bad idea to look at being inclusive. I'm not saying you hire solely for that reason. And a lot of y'all point out Mel Tucker's record, and I'm not disagreeing with you. He would not be a prototypical Scott Woodward hire. I'm telling you, Mel was not on the list of candidates I was initially given. But as soon as William Tate has begun being involved, that's when that started happening. You better invest that $17 million in Gamecoin. Doug McClung, why are we letting him stay? Doug, because you don't have a great option for an interim. And it allows you to start, you announce now because it allows you to start formally doing your search. It allows you to be transparent with recruits. Mike Williamson, Matt, can you give your thoughts on Herm Edwards? Yeah, I don't think Herm is another coach similar, like people who mentioned Pete Carroll. Herm's got to be 70. Herm is 67. I just don't know that that's the route you're going to go with a new coach. Any luck Joe Brady comes back? No. He will be an NFL head coach next year. Craig Dugas, what's up, man? Alex Gonzalez, all for minority coach, but for minority coach to get the job over more qualified coach because of his skin color is garbage. I would agree with that as well. Brian Connolly, what did you hear today? Reed Tucker, that sold you more on him. Had a long conversation with a coach who I trust, who said Tucker can recruit and he is a great football coach. Was hired 3 times by Nick Saban. My retort was, there's a lot of coaches that have been hired by Nick Saban that have been failed head coaches. Just because you were hired by Saban doesn't mean you're going to be a great head coach. But there is some validation, right, when people try to pluck off the Saban tree. Chris Rutley, what's up? Scott Woodward quits if he doesn't get his guy. I wouldn't go that far. Remember, Scott's a guy who's from Baton Rouge who went to LSU, and I think he is His family's here, his parents are here. I think he's quite happy to be home. David Wallace, between Facebook and YouTube, close to 2,000 people tuned in. That's awesome, no doubt, man. We're still at 1,425 live on YouTube. That is spectacular. Smash the like button. Thank you so much. By the way, of those 1,426 now watching, if you have not done so yet, please subscribe to the Matt Moscona YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel and smash the like button. We're at 779 likes, and no, we can get that up to 1,000. We're almost there. Smash the like button. Thank you so much. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. If you would also, I've got both HUDCO and GameCoin tagged in the Facebook page. So if you would like HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com, and GameCoin, thegamecoin.net. Shout out to my guy. I wish I knew who did this shirt, but my buddy Anthony Ray, I saw it on his Instagram story. I was like, I want one. He's like, I can get you one. So he did. I love it. It's got like half a penny and half the GameCoin logo. I love the design. Making waves, y'all. GameCoin. Check it out, thegamecoin.net. If Kiffin hangs 60 Saturdays, it'd have bearing on the search. Maybe. Garrett McGee, Saban hires O as recruiting coordinator, D-line coach. What was interesting is one part of his termination agreement is that Ed Orgeron cannot take a head coaching job in the SEC. I mean, as if anybody's going to hire him as a head coach, but yeah. Kyle Farmer, give me Aranda and Herman. That would have been an interesting combo back in 16, wouldn't it? Let's see. Why did he need to be hired 3 times by Saban? Charlie, because he was hired at LSU, and then I believe with the Dolphins, and then at Bama. Let me make sure I have that right. That's just why. That he... Mel Tucker, let's see, Mel Tucker's 49. He was hired at LSU in 2000 by Saban. Where else did he go? Maybe it's just twice. Bama. Oh, Michigan State. Hired at Michigan State. And then at LSU in 2000. And then at Bama. Forever. Got almost 1,400 people watching on YouTube. 600 watching on Facebook. Kyle Lofton, Esteban Esteves. Let's see, Bill O'Brien is not the answer. Don't let Alabama talent fool you all on his coaching. Yeah, Esteban, I'll kind of disagree. I think Bill O'Brien is a great football coach. I think he was a great OC in New England. I think he did a phenomenal job considering the circumstances at Penn State after Joe Paterno. I think with the Houston Texans, he was a great coach. He was not a great GM. So I think Bill O'Brien is probably a better college coach than an NFL coach. I think he would do very well, actually. Let's see, Reagan Lee. So if you can't get Franklin, you think it goes next to Tucker. Reagan, I'm not going to say that definitively. I'm just going to say the reason why you're hearing those two names prominently. I'm saying why you're hearing those two names prominently. Although I do think James Franklin, for me, would be at or near the top of my list regardless. Jeremy Causey. Will Woodward end up politely telling Tate to move aside and let him do his job? Unlike Tate overstepping. Let Woodward do his job. I don't know that Woodward has the autonomy to do it, man. That's the problem. Like, Tate ultimately is his boss. But do I think that would probably cause Scott Woodward to pull his hair out? Yeah. Matt DeVille. What's up, Matty D? Matty D, what it do? How much he gets saving back? I don't know. The contract's being readied. It's being typed. Nick Saban. Jimmy Sexton. Skip Bertman. Matt DeVille is the former editor of Tiger Rag magazine who did a show eons ago called Tiger Rag Friday, for which a young Matt Moscona was the producer. And it was when Nick Saban won the national championship, got his contract extension, and Skip was starting a press conference and said, was asked about the Saban extension. He went, Nick Saban, Jimmy Sexton, Skip Bertman, all meeting, deliberating on the content. It's being readied. It's not ready. I see it's being readied. It's being typed. And we've joked about that for years. It's funny. To us, anyway. Justin Hutchinson, Matt, what the hell is Derek Panamsky going to do now? I don't know what Derek's going to do. I heard one rumor that Derek was interested in being a sports agent. Have no idea. I would doubt very seriously that he has mainstream media opportunities, however. Byron Washington, what's up? Jason Austin, discuss some of the clauses in the buyout, please. I'm interested in hearing what Coach O can and cannot do. Let's see, off the top of my head, he can't take a head coaching job in the SEC. It's mostly he's got to play nice. Interestingly, there is a clause in there where he has to agree to at least one appearance a year for like 4 years representing LSU. But you would think, like, why would he want to do it? And my thought when I read that was, oh, well, in case they have any type of like 2019 ceremony, you know, they want to be able to mandate contractually that he shows up to that and not be bitter and not show up. Like Smoke Laval comes to nothing. They asked Smoke Laval to participate in the Skip Bertman documentary, and he said no. So, interesting. Todd Samuel, what's up? Michael Dana, what's up? Love you, bro, but fuck, what does that even mean? Craig Duga, you can have the baddest flat bottom boat in all the basin. Nick Bradley Holt Dabo, I don't know that that's realistic. Chance Babin, Bill O'Brien better keep Austin Thomas. Chance, Bill O'Brien, Austin Thomas. I'll tell you this. If you said, Matt, all of the football operations staff, everybody, coaches, assistants, support staff, weight training, everybody, all of it, who is the person most likely to be at LSU next year? Austin Thomas. Because Austin Thomas, I told you this when he was hired, Austin Thomas was not hired by Ed Orgeron. Austin Thomas was hired by Scott Woodward. Austin left LSU because Ed Orgeron's LSU was a poop show with he and Derek. And Austin left for Tennessee for a job that didn't even exist. He loved Baton Rouge, by the way. Austin and his wife were married and had had their first child whenever and did not want to leave. But that work situation was not very good, so he left. And he left, and that job at Tennessee wasn't even there. He ended up going to A&M, where he met Scott Woodward. And then ultimately, Dave Aranda hired him at Baylor, and then Scott brought Austin back to Baton Rouge. Austin is a great talent. He's great at organizing recruiting boards. Like, he is actually someone who's qualified to do the job. As much as I personally like Derek, he was never qualified to be anything more than a assistant to a coach. Like, hey, coach, you have this interview at this time. We're going to this tonight. And you have that, like, the fact that Derek Panamsky was vetting coaching candidates is laughable. And like, it's nothing personal with Derek. I've known him a long time, but he was in no way qualified to do the stuff Ed Orgeron had him do. None. Just like I'm not. If whoever it's like the next coach come and say, Matt, come on, I'm going to have you on staff, and you're going to be my right hand, and you're going to vet candidates for me. And I'm like, no. Like, you need to go get someone who's done that their whole life. This is LSU. You hire qualified people. But as we've seen throughout Ed's tenure, he didn't hire qualified people, which is why he ended up in the situation he did. Melody Beatty, Josh Halley, Vernell Thomas. Eric Lane, any NFL names being talked about? Not that I've heard, Eric. Aaron Rodgers, what's up, Aaron? Aaron? Can people stop pushing the Joe Brady thing? I wish. Matt, what happens to the binder? Oh, Jesus. Chase LeGrand, anything on Cristobal? Nope. Andrew Hines, I'd take Mel Tucker over Bill O'Brien. David Bayham, Bob Stoops. There are some people within LSU circles that like Bob Stoops, and there's some thought that Bob may want to get back into coaching. Like, that's one that would certainly check the Woodward home run box, right? A guy that's won a national title, played for a couple of others, had a long tenure of success, and could be like his second go-around like Urban at Ohio State, but I don't know that that's going to go that way. Joe Juba, what's up, man? I've been caring for a diabetic cat all day. Did I miss something? Just a smidge of news. Dustin Barzar, $17 million for his buyout is absurd. O doesn't deserve that money. Well, Dustin, I'll tell you this. It's in his contract, which is why I always say I don't care how much you pay a coach, just keep the buyout in check. And it's not your money, so what do you care? Steve Erickson, Matt, what does the package look like to entice James Franklin to consider coming to Baton Rouge? Good question, Steve. He's making 5.5 at Penn State. I would think 7 or north thereof would get him here with all the resources that he needs to be consistently successful. Jeremy Hoskins, what would keep them from hiring Kiffin if Franklin isn't interested? I don't see where anything in Kiffin's past would raise red flags. It's the whole, what do people say, Joey Freshwater thing. Look, the thing about Lane is, Lane's divorced and has, enjoyed himself. Not that there's anything wrong with that, okay? As an adult man, a single adult man, live your life, okay? But some of those things got the current coach who's recently been fired now in trouble. So, assistant to the regional manager. What are you sipping tonight? This was the Jefferson's Reserve, the straight rye finished in cognac casks. Picked it up a couple weeks ago. First time I popped it open. I like it. It was good. Clifford Moore, Matt, you already knew yesterday. Clifford, I knew Wednesday. I knew Thursday. I actually knew last week that it was done. It should have happened after Kentucky, but the haggling over the buyout delayed it. And then it was like, done. Thursday, then everybody found out Friday this week. So Saturday morning when I was on Eagle 98.1 Game Day, and I said, when Scott Woodward was at Washington, and he had Tyrone Willingham and fired him after the 7th game, but let him finish the season. Don't be surprised if something similar like that happens here, and blah, blah. Y'all see, I tell you all the time, y'all think I'm guessing. I'm never going to break news. It's not my thing. I'm never going to put a tweet out that says, breaking, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to do that. That's not my thing. It's not my thing. I'm not a breaking news guy. But if you actually listen, I'll tell you the story. Arch Manning wants to go to LSU. Eric Lane, why did the players lose faith in O? Did a poor job hiring assistants. Poor job at game and roster management. He completely devolved to where he started berating people for no reason, for minimal things. I just lost him, man. Just lost him. It all started last year. Coach O's the best recruiter in LSU history. I will fundamentally disagree with that. Nick Saban and Frank Wilson were both better than Ed Orgeron. Matt, prior to Saturday, you stated Mullen wiped the floor with Durante Jones. Wondering, does 42 points confirm your projection, or is 4 picks, 2 sacks, pressures holding Florida only 130 rushing yards? I mean, you're wrong. Richie, I would say 500 yards and 42 points, despite 4 interceptions, pretty good day. The thing with Dan Mullen is, like, the quarterback shuffle thing, man. I can't understand it. Like, why? Their first touchdown drive, they went out in the first possession, tried to run the ball, punted. Second possession, remember they threw the ball right down the field. Boom, 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 boom. And then they had 2 plays that were goal to go and scored on running plays. And so the passing offense got them into it. And then the next drive, they went to Richardson. It's like, what are you doing? You just threw the ball right down the field. LSU couldn't stop you. Why are you switching quarterbacks? Because you had predetermined. Same thing he did with Emory Jones back in 2019. Pulling Kyle Trask for Emory Jones didn't make any sense. Joey Freshwater, that's it. Bradley Watson, odds Franklin is the coach next year. Bradley, I would tell you he would be the odds-on favorite. Like if Vegas were putting out odds, who's the next LSU coach? Like James Franklin would be the favorite. Nick Bradley Hull, what do you think of Joey B's comments at his presser after the Bengals game? About Ed Orgeron, I'm not surprised. I mean, in his Heisman speech, he said, "Oh, should get a lifetime contract," which I would say is the one swing and miss of Joe Burrow's career. Joe was here with positive Ed when things were going good. I've told you he's a different guy when things are not going well. Why did Tate not want to pay a buyout? Wanted to fire for cause. I had plenty of reason to, but I told you all about it over the summer. There's Title IX stuff. There's NCAA investigations. Like, you had that opportunity if you would have done it in the summer, but you didn't. And do you really want to go to court with Ed Orgeron under oath? Scott Charleville, what assistants do you see the new coach? I don't know. I need to know who the new coach is before I answer that. All right. Avery Panks, top 5 shortlist for coaches. All right, I'll give you 5 names. I will give you the 5 names that I've heard out of other people's mouth close to LSU. James Franklin, Luke Fickell, Lane Kiffin, Bill O'Brien, Mel Tucker. I'll give you those 5. Why do we have to run to give O a raise after 2019 when he was 0 flight risk? Easy to say now with the benefit of hindsight. Coach wins a natty with that type of season, he gets a new contract. Call T-Bob for an instant reaction. Helmac, can you coach? I'll donate some dollars. You don't want me coaching, bro. Drew Boogie, problem with Kiffin. Oops. Oh, man. Let's see. I'm going to go quickly. Marcel Joseph, Mario Hebert, Travis Scherer, 6-pack of kids. What's up, y'all? Michael Wells. Will be the expectation on the next head coach first year? I've said this, y'all, and I'll continue to say it, that, in my opinion, depending on how they manage the roster this offseason, LSU could be a title contender next year. You'll have junior Max Johnson, junior Elias Ricks, junior Keishon Butte, junior Jay Ward, junior Dwight McLaughlin, junior BJ Ojolari, junior Jaqueline Roy, Mason Smith, all the freshman receivers, Malik Neighbors, Jack Besh, Deion Smith. Like, I think LSU next year will have a amazing core of junior players. And then the freshmen from this team becoming sophomores, that will make a great core. And in a year where you can sign up to 32 players, 25 high school and up to 7 transfers, I think it's the perfect year for a new coach coming in to be able to overhaul the roster and be an immediate contender. And I think they got a great chance to be. HUDCOroofing.com. Oh, let's do this real quick. Y'all humor me for 30 seconds.
When you need a roof,
Thank you for that brief interlude. Scott Young, what's the real story behind John Emery's suspension? John Emery is academically ineligible. So last year, during COVID, he ended up under the required amount of hours to be a full-time student and be eligible. LSU assumed, again, it's a problem with LSU assumed that his waiver would be granted. I've literally had this conversation where someone said, it was COVID. Everybody's waiver's getting granted. We thought he'd get his waiver granted. And they didn't grant his waiver. And so the running back that you had taking first team reps all the way until the day before UCLA was deemed ineligible for the entire season. I mean, y'all, LSU deserves so much better. And they're going to get it. They're going to get it. How many cookies has T-Bob eaten since the news broke? Good question. Kurt going to be singing the Hudco theme all night. You got it, you got it, you got it. And we might just be about done. Let's see. What was that one? It's still only kid to make sure their academics are in order. So, Mr. Big Boy for Life. Okay. You're kind of wrong. Okay, I understand your point. But when you're at a place like LSU, and you have the Academic Center for Student Athletes, you have academic counselors, you literally have people in place whose job is to make sure that student athletes remain eligible. The fact that you would get into a situation where your starting running back is ineligible and you find out the day before the opener is inexcusable. Totally inexcusable. Brutal. Anyway. Let's see. Daniel Roan. The way Woodward works is we aren't going to expect this higher. I disagree with that completely. He generally is a guy that just goes really big. Like he's not scraping the bottom of the barrel. The Jay Johnson thing was surprising because they were so far down the road with Kevin O'Sullivan. They had agreed to terms. It was done. They dug up some stuff on a background check, decided to pump the brakes a little to vet it some more. Word started getting out that O'Sullivan was sort of the guy. O'Sullivan started getting asked about it, and he basically went back to him and was like, hey, make a decision or I'm out. And so he was out. And then it left him scrambling a little bit. But worked out really well. Does Moffitt get shown the door with the new coaches from TK? I don't know, TK. Tommy Moffitt was hired by Nick Saban the first go-round, retained by Les Miles, and then Ed Orgeron. Nick tried to hire Tommy Moffitt last year when Scott Cochran left Alabama for Georgia. I think Moffitt is a great coach, always at the forefront, and I would be pumped if he stayed, provided he wanted to. See, that's a good point. Brett LaCava said, I don't mind Tate saying he wants a real commitment to diversity in interviews as long as Woodward makes the decision. I agree with that, Brett. I think that's a good approach. But provided you trust that your athletic director is going to follow through on that, and I do with Scott. Michael Eunice, would it be worth looking at Jamie Chadwell? So I've talked about that a few times already, and what I've told you is Jamie Chadwell is on LSU's list, but he would be equivalent to the Jay Johnson on the list, where if you got down to candidate 5, 6, 7, 8, that would be the group of 5 guy that you look at. While people keep asking about Napier, I'm telling you the guy is actually Chadwell because he's a more proven head coach among the group of 5. He's a more accomplished head coach among the group of 5. Let's see. Trey Allen Mitchell, Miles Brennan's future. Great question. Don't know. I guess it partly depends on the next coach. I would say the same thing about recruits. I'm like Walker Howard. Is if the next coach is a dual, once a quarterback's a dual threat guy, that's not Walker Howard. Why would he come here? You know what I mean? So, oh, that matters. Oh, Ross's piece is up, huh? I talked to Dellinger earlier today after he tweeted the news about Orgeron. He said he was working on a how the fall of Orgeron came about piece. There it is. Oh, Daily, I need to read that. I'll bookmark it. Oops. Here. I'll post it in here. All right. We might just be about to wrap, y'all. Let's see. I'm going to post this link for Ross's piece in the... I haven't read it yet, but when he and I spoke earlier today, because Ross... I was actually at church when Ross tweeted the news, and then I got out and I called him, and he was writing this piece. I just tweeted him, but... Jason Guidry, Matt Wink, if Woodward has this wrapped already. All right. Nathan Norman, nice shirt. Game coin, y'all. I wish I could give a shout out to the person who made the shirt. I don't know who the person is that made the shirt. I just know that my guy Anthony Ray, I saw him wearing one on his Instagram story. I was like, I want one, so he got me one. Brought it to me today. I love the shirt. I mean, what does it say on the back? What does it say on the back? Let's see. I'll see it on delay here in a second. Let's see what it says. What does it say on the back? Let's see. It says, oh, it's The Game. It's just the website, The Game. So I don't know who made the shirt. Anyway. All right, y'all. We might be about done. Hour and a half. It's 4 o'clock. It's 9:52. So okay. All right, y'all have an awesome night. Still 1,000 watching. I hate to leave while y'all are still here. And Joseph Gitcher, it's not GameCoin.net. It's TheGameCoin.net. But yeah, Nathan Ducote, what's up? There you go. Who'd you say the other win would be other than ULM? Arkansas. I think LSU could beat Arkansas. Maybe A&M, one final give it a go for Coach O type thing. Could be. All right, anything else? Anything else? Daniel said, I disagree with you, Matt. Daniel, what do you disagree about? What did you ask? I don't remember. Anything in the bio to get rid of Gordy as a sideline reporter. Back to you, Chris. Oh, man. All right, y'all. Let's get on down the road. If you're watching, thanks so much. We're at 905 on the likes. Golly, can we get it to 1,000? We only need 95 more likes. We can do it. Please hit the like button. Smash the like button. Please, there's 927 watching. I know there's people watching who haven't hit the like button yet. On Facebook, like the page, share the post, like the page, share the post. And subscribe to the Matt Moscona YouTube channel if you have not done so yet. Thank you so much. Okay, y'all. A morning scone tomorrow. Locked on LSU podcast. If you're not yet subscribed to the Locked on LSU podcast, a daily LSU podcast that I do, just go however you get your podcast, search Locked on LSU. Hit the subscribe button every day, 20 minutes of LSU content. Easy to digest right there for you. And then AFR tomorrow 3. Y'all have a great night. Peace.